The Galactic Council spire shone like a jewel in the darkness of space. Its crystal walls glimmered under starlight, housing the most powerful rulers of the known galaxy. Thousands of alien leaders filled the chamber, their eyes glowing, their voices hissing and clicking as the great holodisplay ignited. Today was not a meeting about war or peace. It was entertainment. The display showed a barren alien world, Korathon, a hunting ground of the Avar Dominion. The surface was dry, cracked earth lit by 3 suns. Across the wasteland, small figures stumbled in chains. Humans. The chamber filled with laughter. These fragile creatures still cling to life, sneered a reptilian delegate, his scales flashing gold. Prey must run before predators, clicked a crystalline counselor, its sharp body humming with amusement. Earth's children are finished, rasped a many-eyed creature of the core. They exist only to amuse us now.
Ow.
On the screen, the hunt began. Alien soldiers released their beast-stowering hounds with spiked jaws and plated hides. The monsters roared and charged across the sand. The human captives cried out. Woman pulled her son behind her, shielding him with her frail body. Others tried to run, their broken chains clattering against the stone. The council chamber shook with cruel laughter. Billions across the galaxy were watching. To them, this was proof. Humanity was nothing but prey. But then something changed. The feed zoomed in on one young man, barely more than 20. His body was thin, his clothes torn, but his eyes burned with defiance. The beast lunged. At him, its jaws wide, ready to crush him in a single strike. The alien chamber roared with delight, but the young human did not run. He charged forward. The camera caught every detail, his face twisted with rage, his hand gripping a broken spear, his roar echoing louder than the beast's. He struck. The spear plunged into the creature's throat. The monster screamed, collapsing in the dust. The human ripped the weapon free, his chest heaving, his eyes blazing with fire. The council chamber fell silent. The laughter died. For the first time in centuries, aliens stared in shock at a human who did not break. The feed cut to static. The silence in the spire was heavy. Thousands of delegates looked around, muttering nervously. "Did he kill it?" whispered one alien. "Impossible," said another. "Humans cannot defeat hunters." The speaker slammed his staff, trying to regain order. "Do not be fooled by one act of defiance. Humanity is weak. Humanity is prey." But then the alarms began to wail. Red light pulsed across the chamber. The council's AI voice echoed coldly. "Unidentified vessel entering system. AS. Reading. Extreme. Origin. Unclassified. Trajectory. Direct." The delegates froze. The holodisplay shifted to the orbit above Korth 9, and there, from the void, a massive shadow emerged. A ship. Not sleek like alien cruisers, not elegant like council dreadnoughts. This vessel was brutal, scarred, and ancient. Its hull stretched 4 kilometers, jagged armor plates glowing faintly with blue veins of energy. Entire cities could have fit inside. The alien chamber erupted in chaos. What is that? Registry. No Alliance signature. Impossible mass reading bigger than a fleet. A speaker's many eyes widened in horror. No, it cannot be. The hala zoomed in. Across the massive hull, faint letters gleamed. Etched in steel, older than most empires, HSS UNAMI Seisenboard the Nemesis. Admiral Elias Kale stood at the command deck. His uniform was black, marked with silver trim. His face was weathered, scarred by battles long erased from history. His eyes burned with the same fire as the young soldier on the surface. "Status?" he asked, his voice steady. "All systems online," replied Commander Rana, her hands dancing across glowing controls. Weapons hot, shields at full. Kale's lips curved into a grim smile. "For centuries they mocked us. For centuries they hunted our children. Today we remind them who we are." The Nemesis turned, its colossal frame blotting out the stars. Alien ships scrambled, moving to intercept. Plasma fire lit the void, hammering the Nemesis's shields. The ship shuddered but did not break. "Return fire," Kale ordered. The Nemesis's cannons roared. Single shot, one gravitational lance cut across the void, tearing an alien battleship clean in half. Another volley fired. Alien cruisers shattered like glass. The council chamber shook with shouts of disbelief. This cannot be. Humans cannot. But the proof burned on the holoscreen. Humanity had returned. In the spire, the delegates leaned forward, their faces pale. For centuries, humans were dismissed as weak prey. Yet here, one warship was tearing apart entire fleets. The crystalline Zell scholar whispered, "We buried their history." But it was true. Earth was not just a death world. It was a forge. The speaker slammed his staff again, but his voice cracked. "Destroy that ship. Erase them before the galaxy remembers." But deep down, every alien knew the truth. Billions of citizens across the stars were watching. The mask was cracking. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was something else. On the Nemesis's bridge, alarms flared again. "Admiral," Commander Rana shouted. "We're detecting more signatures. Multiple Titan-class wakes. They're coming online across the sector." The tactical display lit up. Blue markers flared on the map, more human warships. Hidden for centuries, now awakening. Kale's scarred face hardened. He looked at the feed, knowing the council could see him. "Send the message," said the Nemesis broadcast across the galaxy. Kale's voice thundered through every screen, every world, every chamber. "You thought we were prey, but you were wrong. We are predators, and today, the mask comes off." The holofeed cut to black. The void burned with wreckage. Where once the Council's proud fleet had orbited Korath 9, now shattered hulks drifted like broken bones. Fire and plasma storms lit the sky, debris tumbling into the planet's atmosphere. Billions of aliens across the galaxy stared at their holoscreens, their voices hushed. They had expected to see weak humans hunted to extinction, but instead, they had witnessed the impossible, a single human warship tearing through armadas like paper. In the Galactic Council spire, chaos reigned. The Avar General roared, his scales flashing red. "This is sorcery, trickery. Humans could not have built such a vessel." The crystalline Zell scholar's facets dimmed with dread. "It is no trick. I warned you. These are the Titans of Earth. They should never have been awakened." "Impossible," hissed a core delegate, its many eyes twitching. "Earth was destroyed. Humanity is extinct." The speaker tried to silence the chamber, but the voices were too loud, too frantic. The mask of confidence the council had always worn was cracking for the first time. And then, the holofeed shifted again. A close-up of the HSS Nemesis filled the chamber. Its colossal hull glowed with blue energy veins, its weapons still warm from firing. The sight alone silenced the room. Inside the Nemesis, Admiral Elias Kale stood tall, his scar catching the light. His voice, carried by every channel across the galaxy, was calm but sharp as steel. "You thought we were prey, but we endured. You hunted us, but we built in the shadows. And now, the hunt is over. Humanity has returned." The chamber fell silent. Billions across the stars felt a chill ripple down their spines. On board the Nemesis, the crew moved with disciplined urgency. The ship vibrated with ancient power. Every system awake for the first time in centuries. Admiral Commander Rana reported, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Long-range scans confirm it, multiple Titan-class wakes. The others are stirring." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Names?" "The Ironheart, the Vigilant, the Stormbreaker. All buried, all hidden. They're powering up." The crew exchanged glances, a mix of awe and fear. For decades they had believed the Nemesis was alone the last remnant of Earth's power. But now, the truth was clear. Humanity had not built one Titan. They had built many. Kale's voice was low, almost a growl. "Earth burned, but our legacy did not. The galaxy buried our history, but our ships remembered." Meanwhile, the council spire dissolved into chaos. "This is unacceptable," cried the Vorlix ambassador, its insect wings buzzing furiously. "They are relics," shouted the Avar general. "Relics cannot change the balance of power." But others whispered fearfully, "Relics that just destroyed an entire fleet." The Zell scholar rose, its crystalline form flickering. "Do you not see? This is why we erased their records. The humans were never weak. They were tempered by a death world. Their wars destroyed their own world long before we arrived. The Titans were their answer. The predators we laughed at have returned. Speaker's voice cracked as he slammed his staff. Enough. There are only a handful of ships. We are the Council. We are the law. Deploy the dreadnoughts. Erase them before the myth spreads. But it was already too late. Across alien worlds, the myth was already alive. Citizens whispered in markets. Soldiers stared at their screens. Children asked questions their parents could not answer. Humanity's name was no longer a joke. It was a warning. Then the Holiday's play flickered. The face of Admiral Elias Kale filled the chamber. Scarred, grim, his eyes blazed like molten steel. His voice carried across the spire, across every alien world, reaching billions. For centuries, Kale said, his tone steady, you hunted us. You broke our chains. You laughed as our children bled. You called us prey. The council delegates froze, their tendrils and mandibles trembling. But you forgot what Earth is. You forgot where we come from. Our world was a crucible of fire, storm, and endless war. We were predators long before you dragged us into the stars. Kale leaned forward, his voice rising. Now the mask comes off, and you will see us as we are. Silence fell like a blade across the chamber, for the first time in living memory. The council trembled. The chamber erupted again. But this time not in laughter and violence. A reptilian delegate lunged at the Zell scholar, claws bared. You knew of this. You hid the truth. The scholar's crystal body flared bright, shards erupting in defense. Sparks flew as claws met crystal, shattering the polished marble floor. Other factions clashed. Some demanded unconditional war. Others screamed for surrender. Still others called for retreat to their home systems. Never in its history had the council chamber been so divided. The speaker tried to restore order, but his voice was drowned by the chaos. The mask of unity was gone. The predators of the galaxy were devouring each other in fear. Far above Korath 9, Admiral Kale watched the chaos unfold from his command deck. The council had lost control. That was his goal, Admiral, Commander. Rana reported. Transmissions are flooding in from across alien space. Civilian channels, soldiers, merchants. They're all asking the same question. Kale turned, his eyes cold. What question? Len's lips pressed thin. Are the humans really back? Kale looked out at the wreckage of the dreadnought, at the enslaved humans being lifted into orbit, at the growing swarm of alien fleets converging. His voice was quiet, but it carried across the bridge. Not back. We never left. Across the stars, alien citizens whispered in hushed tones. On a waterworld marketplace, fish-like traders gathered around a holoscreen, watching human marines free their kin. They fight like storms, one murmured. They are not prey. In a crystalline palace, noble children clutched their mothers, staring at Kale's scarred face, replaying across the feed. Is it true? One whispered. Will they come here too? On a barren mining colony, alien soldiers sat in silence, their weapons idle, staring at footage of humans tearing apart their hunters with bare hands. The word spread like wildfire. Humanity. 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 Back in the spire, Speaker finally regained control, slamming his staff again and again until the echoes silenced the chamber. Enough, he roared. If we fracture now, the galaxy falls to them. We must unite every fleet. We must crush the humans before the myth spreads further. But another delegate hissed in defiance. You still do not understand. The myth is already alive. The more we fight them, the stronger they become. The chamber froze again when alarms rang. The council's AI voice echoed coldly, warning. Multiple Titan-class signatures detected across neighboring sectors. Human warships awakening. The delegates looked around in horror. Entire star systems were lighting up with blue markers. Each one a hidden Titan-class warship returning to life. This is impossible, whispered the Avar general. How many did they build? The Zell scholar's crystalline body dimmed, enough the Nemesis's sensors blared. Entire alien fleets were converging from multiple systems. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of ships. The void ahead glowed red with incoming fire. "Admiral, their numbers are overwhelming," Rana said. "If we stay, they will bury us." Kale's eyes never wavered. "Good. Let them come." He leaned forward, his scar catching the light. "The galaxy thinks this is the first blow. It isn't. This is only the beginning." The view shifted back to the council chamber, where the delegates watched in horror as new symbols lit up on the galactic mappa, Leviathan-class warship. Even larger than the Nemesis, stirring from its slumber in a distant system, the speaker's voice trembled. "If the Leviathan awakens, then we are finished." On the Nemesis, Kale's eyes locked on the same signal. His voice was a whisper, but it carried across the bridge. "Awaken it." The Leviathan's silhouette loomed on the tactical map, its colossal frame. It's beginning to rise from the depths of a forgotten world. The screen cut to black. The deserts of Corothanine were painted with blood. And fire. Alien overseers shouted in panic as the sky cracked open. Dozens of fiery streaks cut through the cloudsdrop pods, tearing down like falling stars. Each pod slammed into the sand with a thunderous quake, hissing as steel petals split apart. From the smoke, shadows emerged, human soldiers in black exosuits, their visors glowing blue, weapons humming with restrained fury. They marched in unison, boots pounding the ground, moving with the precision of predators on the hunt. The enslaved humans gasped. For generations, they had been told Earth was dead, their people scattered, weak, forgotten. Yet here before their eyes stood warriors, humanity's predators unmasked. An overseer screeched, raising its plasma rifle. A marine's kinetic slug hit first, tearing the alien apart in a spray of dust and blood. Another alien charged with a spear of glowing crystal, only to be crushed under a marine's armored fist. The Council's holo feed broadcast every second. Billions of aliens across the galaxy watched in silence, their laughter dead. For the first time, they saw humans not as prey, but as predators. The enslaved humans stumbled forward, chains still clattering at their wrists. One woman fell to her, knees before a marine, tears streaming down her dirt-streaked face. Are you real?" The marine knelt, lifting his visor. His scarred face, weary but unbroken, looked into hers. "We're real," he said, "and we've come for you." All around, soldiers ripped open cages, smashed chains, and pulled survivors into protective circles. Children clung to their armored legs, staring at the glowing Earth insignias on their armor above them. The Nemesis hovered like a steel god, its cannons tearing alien fighters from the sky. The void burned with wreckage, but the human warship stood unshaken, guarding its people like a predator shielding its young. Alien reinforcements poured in squadrons of scaled Avar shock troops, Vorlix insectoid swarms, and towering war beasts, bred for slaughter. The Council had underestimated the humans. In their desperation, they threw everything they had. The ground shook as war beasts charged. Plasma spears mounted on their backs. Alien troops screamed war cries, raising banners of their empires. But the Marines did not falter. "Hold the line." A sergeant roared, his voice carrying over the chaos. Exosuits whirred. Kinetic rifles thundered, and plasma blades lit the night with white-blue fire. The humans fought like storms, each Marine holding ground against a dozen foes. They moved, not as prey but as predators reclaiming their territory. The Council's live feed showed it all. The galaxy watched in disbelief as overseers fell, war beasts were torn down, and alien banners burned in the sand. Inside the spire, delegates watched in horror. "They are slaughtering our soldiers," hissed the Avar general. They were supposed to be weak, shrieked a Vorlix, its wings trembling. The Zell scholar's crystalline body glowed faintly. Weak. No, they were caged. But a caged predator is still a predator. Now the cage is broken. The speaker slammed his staff, but his voice shook. "This is unacceptable. If the galaxy sees too much, we will lose control. Shut off the feeds." But the feeds could. not be silenced. Billions were already watching, already whispering a word the Council had tried to erase for centuries. Humanity. On the battlefield, human Marines escorted the freed captives toward evacuation points. Dropships descended, hatches opening as survivors were guided inside. A child clung to a soldier's arm, eyes wide as he looked up at the Nemesis in orbit. "That's our ship, isn't it?" The Marine smiled beneath his helmet. "It's the first of many." Above, the Nemesis's cannons thundered again, intercepting enemy fire aimed at the rising dropships. Alien fleets swarmed, desperate to cut off the escape. Plasma lances streaked across the sky, locking onto the transports filled with rescued humans. On the Nemesis's bridge, alarms screamed. Admiral Commander Rana shouted, "Enemy fire targeting the evacuation. If those shots land, the civilians are finished." Kale's eyes narrowed, his scar catching the glow of the red warning lights. "Not while I still breathe." "Bring the main batteries online," Kale commanded. "Sir, they're not charged, then push them past their limits. Humanity will not lose another child to these beasts." The Nemesis roared, its cannons lit with blue fire, unleashing a barrage that split the heavens. Slugs the size of towers ripped through alien cruisers. Gravitic lances bent space, dragging destroyers into one another. Plasma torpedoes turned enemy formations into freshers. The evacuation ships rose unharmed, shielded by the fury of the Titan. On the surface, freed humans cried as they saw the sky burn with alien wreckage. For the first time in centuries, they believed in tomorrow. Inside the spire, the illusion of unity shattered. Delegates screamed at one another, some calling for retreat, others for unconditional war, still others for surrender. Claws scraped against marble, tendrils lashed, crystalline shards flew. The speaker tried to rise, his voice trembling. "We are the law of the galaxy. We cannot bow to prey." But the Zell scholar's voice cut through the chamber, cold and final. "They are not prey, they are predators." And now the galaxy sees the mask for what it was, a lie. The chamber fell silent, the truth undeniable. On the battlefield, the Colossus reeled. Half its weapons were destroyed, but its ancient core still pulsed with green fury. Its captain, a being older than most species, roared across the coms. "We are the Council. We are eternal, humans." The Colossus unleashed its secondary batteries, thousands of beams converging on the Leviathan. For a moment the void turned emerald again, but the Leviathan did not falter. Its shields absorbed the storm, then returned it. White-blue fire cascaded outward, bending the beams, redirecting them. Alien fleets caught in the path were torn apart, their ships crushed into dust. The galaxy watched in horror, and awes the Colossus. Once thought a god machine was forced back. On the Nemesis's bridge, alarms screamed. "Admiral," Commander Rana shouted. "Hull breaches on decks 5 through 9. Shields at 30%. Cal's eyes burned with iron resolve. He looked not at the damage, but at the Leviathan filling his viewport. "Signal the Leviathan," he ordered. "Tell them it's time." The cum crackled. A deep voice, ancient and powerful, echoed across the bridge. "This is Leviathan Prime. We were forged in Earth's fire. We will not fall." Kale raised his fist. "Then let's remind them what predators are." The Leviathan's core began to split open. Panels unfolded across its colossal hull, revealing a hidden chamber at its heart. Symbols older than memory ignited in blue fire, glowing across the void like constellations reborn. On the council spire, alien delegates froze, their faces pale. "What are they doing?" whispered one. The Zell scholar dimmed to near black. "They are unlocking the weapon we prayed would never exist." On the Nemesis, alarms blared. Rana turned, her voice trembling. "Admiral, whatever they're powering, it's beyond anything in our records." Kale's scarred face hardened. He whispered words that echoed across the galaxy. "Now they'll see what happens when the hunter shows its full strength." The Leviathan's hidden weapon charged, its light blinding, its power shaking even the stars. The screen cut to black. Void shook as gods made war. The Prime Colossus, the Council's ultimate weapon, poured emerald fire into the darkness. Its cannons burned brighter than suns, tearing reality apart. Around it, alien fleets scattered, unwilling to be caught in the fury of their own creation. Opposite it loomed the Leviathan, humanity's ancient masterpiece.
No.
Larger than nations, older than memory, its hull glowed with white-blue fire. Its core pulsing with restrained fury between them floated the battered HSS Nemesis, scarred but unbroken, shielding transports full of freed humans. Its crew watched the two titans with wide eyes, knowing the outcome would decide not only their fate, but the fate of the galaxy. On every alien world, every marketplace, barracks, and palace, billions of beings held their breath. Could not be silenced. Everyone saw it. Everyone felt it. The question echoed across the stars. Would humanity fall once more? Or would the predators rise? The Colossus fired again. A torrent of green annihilation swept toward the Leviathan. But the Leviathan did not evade. Its shields ignited, bending the storm, drinking it in. For an instant, the void glowed white and green, brighter than 1,000 suns. Answered, its spinal cannon roared, a lance of blue-white energy that split the darkness. The blast tore into the Colossus, ripping away entire kilometers of its neutronium plating. Shards spun across the void, glowing like meteors as they burned in nearby atmospheres. On the Council spire, delegates screamed in disbelief. The Prime is wounded? This cannot be. It is eternal. The Zell Scholar's crystalline body flickered dimly. Nothing is eternal. Not even gods. On the Nemesis's bridge, Admiral Elias Kale gripped the rail. His crew shouted, damage reports, alarms blared, but his eyes never left the Leviathan. Signal them, he ordered. Tell them the galaxy is watching. The cum crackled, and the voice of Leviathan Prime rumbled across the bridge, deep as tectonic plates shifting. We were forged in Earth's crucible. We were built for this day. The galaxy hunted our children, burned our world, but we endured. And now we hunt.
Oh.
Words echoed across every screen, every world. Alien soldiers hesitated mid-battle. Citizens froze, trembling. Mothers clutched their children. The myth was no longer a whisper. It was alive. On Korath 9, human marines fought with renewed fury. Exosuits glowed in the dust storm, rifles thundered, and plasma blades cut through. Alien reinforcements. One soldier, bleeding but unbroken, planted Earth's flag again in the sand. The sight was broadcast across the galaxy. Freed humans knelt around it, tears streaming down their faces. A child pointed upward as the Leviathan fired again, splitting the sky with white fire. "Mama," he whispered. "Is that ours?" His mother's voice trembled with awe. "Yes, that is humanity." But the Colossus was not yet beaten. From its core, emerald fire built again. Not a single beam this time, but a storm of 1,000. Cannons. The void turned green as the ancient weapon unleashed everything it had. The Leviathan reeled, its shields flaring, its hull shuddering under the onslaught. Panels cracked, drones exploded, and for the first time, the ship groaned like a wounded beast. On the Nemesis, Commander Rana shouted, "They're breaking through. If the Leviathan falls," Kale slammed his fist against the console, "then we stand with it. We fall as predators, not prey." Then the Leviathan changed. Its massive hull split open, revealing a hidden chamber at its core. Glyphs older than memory glowed blue, forming constellations across its surface. Energy surged outward, shaking the stars themselves. On the Council spire, terror froze the chamber. "What is it doing?" The Zell Scholar's voice was a whisper. "They are unlocking the weapon. The one we swore could never exist." The Leviathan's core brightened until it was blinding. Its hidden weapon, an ancient fusion of gravitational collapse and stellar fire, came alive. The Leviathan fired. Not a beam. Not a volley. A wave of reality-bending force. A storm that crushed ships into atoms. It bent light itself and ripped the Colossus's emerald storm apart. The ancient alien weapon screamed as its hull cracked, entire sections imploding. Its proud banners burning away. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the unthinkable happened. The prime colossus fell back, broken, bleeding fire into the void. On every world, aliens whispered the same word in fear and awe: humanity.
Inside.
Spire, chaos, consumed the chamber. The Avar general roared, "Unite every fleet. Destroy them before they spread further." The Vorlik's ambassador shrieked, "No, surrender, before they come for us." Others turned on each other, claws, wings, and crystal shards clashing in madness. The speaker slumped in his throne, his many eyes trembling. For centuries, the council had ruled unchallenged. But now, in one battle, the truth had been revealed. They were not masters. They were prey. On the Leviathan's bridge, its commander raised his voice across the stars. "You hunted us. You burned our world. You caged our children. And still, we endured. Today, the mask is gone. We are not prey. We are not weak. We are humanity. We are the apex predators of this galaxy." Billions heard it. Armies faltered. Entire colonies erupted in panic or in hope. On Korath 9, freed humans shouted, tears streaming down their faces, voices rising. Together, humanity, humanity, humanity. The Colossus, broken and burning, began to retreat. Alien fleets scattered, their unity shattered. The Leviathan loomed over the void, victorious, its shadow stretching across the stars. On the Nemesis's bridge, alarms screamed again. "Admiral," Rana shouted. "New signals, dozens, no, hundreds." Leviathan-class signatures, awakening across the galaxy. The holomap lit up with blue. One by one, hidden human warships stirred from their slumber, rising from oceans, mountains, and dead worlds. Kale's eyes burned with fire. He whispered words the galaxy would never forget. This was never our end. This was only the beginning. The camera zoomed on his scarred face as the Leviathan's glow consumed the screen. Cut to black. Back on Korath 9, the enslaved humans who had survived the hunt watched the sky in awe. Chains still hung from their wrists, but their eyes reflected the glow of the nemesis above. "They came back," one whispered. "They never left," said another, tears streaking through the dirt on her face. Drop pods rained down from the nemesis, slamming into the desert sand. From them emerged Marines in black exosuits, their visors glowing. They moved like shadows, cutting through the alien. Guards with ruthless efficiency, the enslaved humans gasped. For generations, they had seen themselves as broken. But now, before their eyes, they saw soldiers of Earth unstoppable. Unyielding, one Marine knelt before a child, lifting his visor to reveal a scarred but human face. "We're here to take you home," he said. The boy's eyes filled with tears. For the first time in his life, he believed home was real. The holofeed showed everything every alien in the galaxy watched: humans breaking chains, rescuing their own, and standing tall. The council delegates trembled. The Avar general hissed, "Shut it off. End the broadcast." But it was too late. The mask was gone. Billions had seen the truth. The speaker slumped in his throne, his voice thin. "If the Titans spread, the council will fall. We must end them before the galaxy realizes, before the prey learns who the real predators are." On the Nemesis, alarms screamed again. "Admiral," Commander Rana shouted. "You contact detected." Mass reading, enormous. Bigger than anything we've ever faced. Kale turned slowly to the display. The stars warped as a council's super dreadnought tore into the system, dwarfing even the Nemesis. Its weapons lit with green fire, each cannon large enough to shatter continents. Rana's voice cracked. "If that thing fires..." Kale's eyes narrowed, calm and cold. "Then we show them. Humanity doesn't bow. Humanity hunts." The Nemesis turned toward the giant ship, its weapons glowing. The two colossal vessels faced each other across the void. The screen cut to black. The void burned. Green. The Council's super dreadnought had arrived, a monstrous ship forged in secret shipyards. Its hull plated with metals drawn from neutron stars, its weapons glowing like miniature suns. It was a vessel built to end wars. And now, it had only one target: humanity in the Galactic Council spire. Alien leaders leaned forward, hope and fear etched across their strange faces. The Avar general hissed, scales flaring bright. Finally, the humans will be erased in front of the entire galaxy. But not all were convinced. The Zell scholar whispered, its crystalline body dim. They said the same when the first Titan appeared. And yet the Nemesis stands. The holodisplay zoomed in, showing the HSS Nemesis alone in the dark, facing a warship nearly 5 times. Its size. The galaxy watched in silence, waiting to see if the Predator would survive its first true challenge. On the Nemesis's bridge, Admiral Elias Kale stared at the massive silhouette filling his viewport. His voice was calm, but his crew could feel the weight of the moment. "They think this will break us," he said softly. "They've forgotten what humans do when cornered." The super dreadnought fired first. A beam of pure annihilation erupted from its core, ripping across the void like a false star. The Nemesis shook violently as the blast struck its shields. Sparks exploded across the bridge. Consoles flared and crew were thrown from their stations. "Shields at 70%, Commander Rana shouted. "That was only a test shot." "Kales." The voice cut through the chaos. "Return fire. All batteries." The Nemesis answered. Rail slugs the size of skyscrapers screamed into the void, striking the super dreadnought's flank. Explosions rippled across its armor, tearing chunks from its hull. Then the Nemesis's gravitic cannons unleashed, a white-blue lance of energy that twisted reality itself. Buckling the alien ship's shields like paper, the council chamber erupted in gasps. They pierced the Prime's defenses. It's impossible. They were never supposed to withstand its fire. But on the feed, the truth was undeniable. The Council's strongest weapon had bled. On Corthanine below, enslaved humans looked to the sky. The heavens burned with fire as alien fleets swarmed to protect their dreadnought. Fighters screamed across the atmosphere, plasma trails slicing. The sky, the Nemesis launched drop pods, streaking down through the storm. They slammed into the sand, cracking open to reveal human marines in black exosuits. Their visors glowed, their weapons hummed with restrained violence. One marine raised his kinetic rifle, voice amplified by his helmet. "Stand tall. We are humanity. No chain holds us now." The slaves stared, stunned. For their whole lives they had been told humans were weak. Now, they saw warriors that moved like shadows, their weapons tearing alien guards apart with thunderous blasts. The galaxy watched. Billions of aliens leaned closer to their screens, witnessing the truth for the first time. Humans did not run. Humans hunted. In the spire, the speaker tried to regain control. His staff slammed against the marble floor, but his voice cracked. "Do not be fooled. These are relics, nothing more. They cannot outlast the Council's fleets." But whispers spread like wildfire. Delegates leaned toward each other, mandibles twitching, tendrils quivering. If these are only relics, how many more do they have? If the Nemesis can survive this long, what of the others awakening? The Zell scholar's facets glowed with dread. The mask has cracked. The galaxy sees them now not as prey, but as predators. On the battlefield, the Nemesis's crew fought desperately. Plasma storms battered their shields, shaking the ship with every impact. Alien cruisers swarmed, unleashing torrents of fire. "Shields down to 40%, Rana cried. "Divert power from non-essential decks," Kale ordered. His eyes never left the enemy dreadnought. "Target their reactor array. Let them feel fear." The Nemesis fired again. A gravitic lance ripped through the void, striking deep into the enemy's core. The alien dreadnought shuddered violently, its shields collapsing in a spray of green fire. Entire sections of its hull tore open, spilling debris into space. The council chamber filled with shouts of disbelief. The Prime, it falters. This cannot be happening. On every alien world, citizens gasped. Children clutched their parents. Soldiers stared in silence. Merchants froze mid-trade. Billions were witnessing a truth the Council had hidden for centuries. Humanity was not gone. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was terrifying. On Korath 9, a rescued child pointed to the sky, her wide eyes glowing with reflected fire. "Is that our ship?" she whispered. A Marine lifted her into his arms, his armor scratched and glowing. He looked up at the burning heavens. "No," he said, "that's the first ship. There will be more." Above them, the Nemesis carved through alien fleets, its cannons blazing. The enslaved humans wept, some shouting through their chains, others falling to their knees. For the first time in generations, they felt hope. The alien super dreadnought reeled, its core flickering, its weapons failing. The Nemesis prepared for another strike. Admiral Rana said, her voice trembling, "We can finish it. One more shot." Kale stared at the screen. He could see the Council watching, their terrified faces broadcast across the galaxy. He raised his hand. Fire. The Nemesis's main cannon roared, a white-blue storm cutting into the dreadnought's heart. The alien behemoth cracked, splitting into two burning halves. Billions gasped. The Council spire erupted into chaos. Some leaders screamed for war. Others begged for surrender. The galaxy was no longer united in laughter. It was divided in fear. But before the smoke cleared, new alarms screamed across the Nemesis's bridge. "Admiral," Rana shouted, "we're detecting more fleets. Entire sectors are converging on us. Thousands of ships." Kale's eyes narrowed, his scar catching the light of the flames. "Let them come. The mask is gone. Now they'll see the Predator's face." The camera zoomed on his unflinching gaze. The screen cut to black. The Galactic Council spire had always been a monument of order. Its crystalline walls shimmered. With light, its chambers filled with the voices of rulers who claimed dominion over the stars. For centuries, their power had been absolute, their word unchallenged. But tonight, the spire shook with panic. On the central holodisplay, the Council's super dreadnought was split in half, its massive hull burning as debris drifted across Korath 9's orbit. The HSS Nemesis, humanity's Titan-class warship, hovered defiantly in the wreckage, its cannons glowing with residual fire. Billions across the galaxy had witnessed the impossible. The prey had slain the Predator. The chamber erupted. "Lies. Trickery," shouted the Avar general, his scales flashing crimson. "Our fleets are failing," wailed the insectoid Vorlix ambassador, its wings buzzing furiously. The crystalline Zell Scholar's facets flickered with cold light. "Not failing. Collapsing. The mask is shattered. Every citizen now knows the truth. Humanity survives." Speaker slammed his staff against the floor, but his voice cracked with fear. "We are the Council, cannot be threatened by relics of a dead world." But even he could see it in the faces around him. Fear, disbelief, and doubt. The illusion of control was slipping through their claws. But hope was fragile. On the Nemesis's bridge, alarms screamed again. The tactical display lit up with dozens of new signals read. Hostile. Entire fleets converging from multiple sectors, overwhelming in number. Rana's voice cracked. "It's not just ships. We're detecting something else. Something bigger." The crew fell silent. The display zoomed out from the edge of the system. Colossal silhouettes stirred larger than the Nemesis, larger even than the Council's super dreadnought. Its hull pulsed with alien green fire, its weapons arrays vast enough to shatter. Planets. The speaker's voice echoed across the Council chamber, trembling. "The Prime Colossus. Our oldest weapon. We swore it would never need to wake." On the Nemesis, Kale's eyes narrowed as the shadow filled the screen. His voice was cold, steady. "Good. Now the galaxy will see what happens when Predators truly unmask." The Colossus's weapons lit the void. The screen cut to black. The void burned with green light. the Prime Colossus, the Council's ultimate weapon. A warship older than most empires stirred in the darkness. Its hull stretched for thousands of kilometers, plated with neutronium, its weapons arrays unfolding like the limbs of a god. Entire fleets fell back to make way for it, as if bowing before an ancient king. On the Galactic Council spire, silence hung heavy. For centuries, the Colossus had been sealed in the archives of myth, its name spoken only in whispers. Now, its shadow filled every holoscreen across the galaxy. The Avar General's scales flared crimson. Behold, humanity cannot stand against this. The Prime will erase them. The crystalline Zell scholar dimmed, its voice trembling. Erase them or awaken them? You still do not understand. The hala shifted again. It showed the HSS Nemesis and its marines on Korathine. Alien fire rained across the desert. But the humans fought on, shielding civilians as transports lifted them skyward. Billions of alien citizens watched the feed. They had mocked humans as prey. Now they saw men and women in black armor standing against impossible odds. They saw Admiral Elias Kale's scarred face staring into the storm without fear. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy realized the prey had teeth. Far away, on the Council's archive world of Thrixis Prime, a trembling scholar hurried through dim halls lined with forbidden data crystals. His claws shook as he slotted one into a reader. Blue light flared, projecting fragments of ancient history. There was earth oceans raging, storms tearing across continents, volcanoes spitting fire into the skies. But worse than the world was its people. Humans waged war against themselves. Cities burned in nuclear fire. Armies clashed with machines that blotted out the horizon. Oceans boiled with fleets that devoured each other in flame. The scholar gasped. They lived like this? On their own world? Another crystal activated. This time it showed construction yards hidden beneath Earth's seas and mountains. There, humans built the Titan-class warships arcs, fortresses. Weapons all forged from a single truth. Survival meant dominance, and deeper still. One final crystal showed a shadow far larger than the Titans, a ship that dwarfed them all. The Leviathan class. Humanity's true apex creation. The scholar's body dimmed with horror. They were never weak. They were preparing for us. In the spire, chaos erupted once more. We must unite, screamed the Avar general. Every fleet must be brought against them. Unite, snapped Vorlik's ambassador, its wings buzzing in rage. You saw what one Titan did to our super dreadnought. If more awaken, our fleets will crumble. Others shouted for peace, for retreat, for silence. The speaker tried to control them. But the chamber had become a battlefield. For the first time in history, the Council was splintering not because of conquest, but because of fear. On the Nemesis's bridge, alarms blared. Admiral, the Prime Colossus is powering weapons, Commander Rana warned. Its energy spike is beyond anything we've seen. If it fires, Kale cut her off with a sharp gesture. Then it will miss. The crew stared at him, stunned by his calm. Kale turned toward the massive holomap, where red signals filled the void. Entire sectors of alien fleets were converging. But among them, blue markers flickered other Titans awakening, their signals faint but growing. Kale's lips curved into a grim smile. They buried our history. They forgot our world. But our ships did not forget us. On alien worlds, the feeds could not be silenced. A soldier in the Vorlik swarm army threw down his weapon, staring at the broadcast. We were lied to, he muttered.
Oh, guys.
They told us humans were fragile, a market on a crystalline moon. Citizens huddled around a holoscreen, watching the Nemesis hold against impossible odds. If this is prey, one whispered, then what are predators? On barren colonies where enslaved humans still labored, the whispers grew louder. They came for Korath 9. They will come for us. The myth was no longer buried. The name humanity burned across the stars. Suddenly, the Nemesis's sensors screamed. Admiral Rana shouted. New signature Sector 7-9. Mass reading off the charts. It's not alien. Out. It's the holodisplay shifted. From the depths of a dead system, an ocean world cracked open. Waters boiled away. As something vast rose from beneath, the Leviathan-class warship, larger than the Nemesis. Larger than the Prime Colossus, its hull was scarred by centuries of slumber, yet glowing with ancient power, its frame stretched like a continent. Its weapons arrays pulsing with white-blue light. On the council spire, alien delegates screamed. In disbelief, this cannot be. They had Leviathans. The Zell scholar's crystalline body dimmed to near black. They did not just survive their world, they mastered it. And they built ships to master the stars. On every screen, Admiral Kale's face returned, scarred and unflinching. You thought we were prey, he said, his voice low, steady, unyielding. But Earth was never prey. Earth was a crucible, a forge. We are its children, and now are unmasked. The feed showed the Leviathan rising, its weapons charging, its shadow blotting out the stars. Billions of alien citizens watched in silence. Entire armies hesitated. Empires that once ruled without fear now trembled. The age of prey was ending. On the battlefield, the Prime Colossus unleashed its full fury. A beam of emerald fire lanced across the void, brighter than a sun, aimed directly at the Nemesis. Impact. In 10 seconds, Rana shouted. On the tactical screen, the Leviathan's weapons arrays blazed. White-blue energy pulsing like the heartbeat of a god. Kale's voice cut through the storm, steady as stone. Let them see. Humanity does not run. Humanity does not bow. Humanity hunts. The Leviathan fired. The void itself screamed. The screen cut to black. The void exploded in green fire. The Prime Colossus, the Council's oldest and mightiest weapon, unleashed its wrath. A beam of emerald energy, wide as a planet, lanced across the stars toward the Nemesis. It cut through space like a god's blade, bending reality, tearing the void apart. Billions across the galaxy gasped as the feed lit with searing light. For an instant, it seemed humanity's defiance would end here, snuffed out in one final act of power. But then, another light flared, the Leviathan, from the depths of a dead ocean world. The Leviathan-class warship had risen larger than cities, larger than nations. Its hull glowed with rivers of white-blue energy. Its core thrummed with ancient fury. As the Colossus's beam struck, the Leviathan's shields ignited like a newborn star, bending the fire, swallowing it, consuming it, on the Nemesis's bridge. Admiral Elias Kale gripped the rail, his scar catching the glow. His crew shielded their eyes as the void itself screamed. When the light faded, the Nemesis still stood scarred, smoking but alive. And behind it loomed the Leviathan, untouched. Unstoppable. The galaxy trembled. The Leviathan fired. Its spinal cannon roared. A storm of white-blue energy that tore space itself apart. The blast struck the Colossus, ripping through its neutronium hull. Shockwaves rippled across the void as chunks of armor the size of continents spun away into the darkness. The council chamber erupted in chaos. "The Prime is damaged," shrieked a Vorlix. "This cannot be," roared the Avar general, scales flashing crimson. The Zell scholar's crystalline body flickered dim. It was never invincible. It was only unchallenged. On the battlefield, fleets clashed in madness. Alien armadas poured fire into the Nemesis and the Leviathan.
Ow.
Their plasma lances and ion storms turning the stars into a furnace.
Ow.
But the Titans endured. The Nemesis tore through cruisers with rail slugs the size of towers. The Leviathan unleashed swarms of autonomous drones, each glowing with Earth's fire, tearing into battleships like swarms of metal wolves. For the first time in history, the Council's fleets faltered not because they lacked numbers, but because they lacked courage. The Predator had shown its face, and prey began to scatter. On Korath 9, the battle raged on the ground. Human Marines, their armor scarred and glowing, formed circles around the last groups of freed civilians. Alien reinforcements swarmed, desperate, To capture or kill? But the Marines stood like walls of steel. One soldier planted the flag of Earth in the dust, scorched colors fluttering in the storm. The sight sent a shiver across the galaxy, broadcast live to billions. A symbol thought lost forever had returned, standing tall amid fire and ruin. A mother clutched her daughter, pointing to the flag. "Remember this day?" she whispered. Humanity rose again,